For the past 300 years, the Islip Town Clerk has been recording and preserving the story of the people of Islip Town and of its hamlets and villages. Along with the duty of the town clerk to record and preserve records, there is a requirement to interpret these records and documents and make them available to the public. That duty falls to the Islip Town historian. This series of short PowerPoint videos will examine documents, records, and artifacts in the Islip Town Historic Collection and discuss their impact on the history of this town and its people. The seal of the town of Islip is embossed on official documents, on letterhead, and on the sides of vehicles, but few realize how unique it is. Unlike many seals, it not only contains the name of Islip, but also tells of its history, origins, and does poke fun at the surrounding towns. Other official seals have their origins in colonial edicts or national insignia, but Islip's seal was the product of the imagination of a town resident whose roots go back to the beginnings of the town. Join us as we explore the meaning of the Islip rebus. So just what is a rebus? Basically, it is a picture or group of pictures that phonetically represents the name or word that it sounds like. The background of this slide is an example of a rebus used by John Islip, an English abbot, to represent his name. This is how the seal of the town of Islip appears today on paper. The seal has been modernized slightly, that is, the lines of the drawing have been made thicker so they show up better, but basically it is the same exact design described in a letter written in 1883. We will take a close look at the description in a few moments, but first we need to look at some background history that provides us a grounding in how Islip got its name. There are two towns in England named Islip, one in Northamptonshire and one in Oxfordshire. We take our name from the Islip in Northamptonshire, an exceedingly small town even today. In 2018, it was estimated that it had a population of 822 people, compared with the population of its offspring, Islip Town, New York, whose population was estimated by the United States Census Bureau in 2019 to be 329,610. One of the features of our mother Islip is the Anglican Church of St. Nicholas, which was the home church of the Nicol family. There is a commemorative plaque to Matthias Nicol, William's father, in that church. William Nicol came to the area that is now Great River and East Islip with permission to purchase land from the Secatog Nation. He purchased a tract from Winnequaha, Sachem, of the Secatogs on November 29, 1683. William Nicol named his holdings Islip Grange. A grange is an Old English word for farm, so the name he gave the land was Islip Farm. Islip comes from his birthplace, and he believed that this area would be similar to the holdings of the landed gentry in England, where the landowner maintained his ownership and tenant farmers or renters would farm the fields, paying a rent to the landowner. William Nicol also had to pay rent to the crown for his royal patent, so every year on March 25th, this was New Year's Day in the calendar in use at that time, he paid a quit rent of 5 bushels of good winter wheat, or 25 shillings, which in modern dollars was 295.50 cents. The name Islip Grange is preserved in the name of the town's History Park in Sayville. What is a royal land patent? A land patent is an exclusive land grant made by a sovereign entity with respect to a tract of land. To make such a grant patent, a sovereign must document the land grant, securely sign and seal the document patent, and openly publish the documents for the public to see. It is the highest evidence of right, title, and interest to a defined area. A land patent is known in law as letters patent, and usually are exclusive grants of rights to the original grantee and to their heirs and assigns forever. The patent stands as a supreme title to the land because it attests that all evidence of title existence before its issue date was reviewed by the sovereign authority under which it was sealed and was so sealed as irrefutable. Thus, at law, the land patent itself so becomes the title to the land defined within its four corners. The royal patents to Islip Town underlie all land titles held by Islip residents to this day. A slip is a cutting from a plant or tree that is rooted to reproduce the plant or tree. It is a good simile for what Islip became, a place where people from many cultures came to live and raise families. The eye symbol is a clever way to depict the eye that begins Islip. We mentioned Thomas Islip earlier. The carving of a rebus for his name is seen here in this picture of a carving found in Westminster Abbey. In 1883, A.G. Thompson sent Selah R. Clark, town clerk at the time, a letter containing a proposed design for a town seal. Abraham Gardner Thompson was a descendant of the family that was in possession of the Saginaw Manor lands at the time when George Washington stayed there. This family was prominent in politics, business, and social circles, and had close friendships with 5 United States presidents. He followed a family tradition and attended Columbia University in New York City, and then went on to study medicine. He was also active in the political life of Islip and Suffolk County, and so well known to those in town government. His letter described his design for the seal and the meaning behind each symbol in the seal. While you can pause this for a moment to read the letter, but in the following slides we will examine the contents of the letter in greater detail. The original plan for Suffolk County when it was established in 1683 was that all the towns were to have 2 shores. Therefore, Smithtown should have had its northern border on Long Island Sound, and as its southern border, the Atlantic Ocean. On the maps of the time, the southern portion of the area allotted for Smithtown was designated as Indian Territory, and was not covered by the royal patents issued to Richard Bull Smith. The slip on the seal that represents Smithtown is shown without any root development, signifying that Smithtown did not make claims on any of the Islip patent lands. This might have been due to the marriage between Bull Smith's oldest son and the Nicol family. Brookhaven actually did have a legitimate claim to the eastern portion of the present-day town of Islip. The area of Islip Town east of the Connecticut River was originally considered to have been in Brookhaven Town. William Nicol was able to get all the land covered by his royal patents placed in what would become Islip Town. Since he was a major property holder in Brookhaven Town, and he controlled other lands through family ties, this gave him great influence in settling this matter in his favor. While these eastern lands passed to Islip, the bay to their south and the beach remained in Brookhaven. A line drawn from the Nicol Point in Great River across to Fire Island became the demarcation line between the waters and barrier beach holdings of these 2 towns. On the seal as originally drawn, there are stunted roots on the slip representing Brookhaven to represent the change of border. The land to the west of Islip was in colonial times all part of the town of Huntington, and known by the name of South Huntington. There are developed rootlets on the slip representing Huntington to honor the fact that Huntington made a claim on the western portion of Islip. But after a protracted court battle over Huntington's claims, the case was decided in favor of Islip. The border was settled along with the bay rights going to the town of Islip. In 1872, South Huntington seceded from Huntington and became the town of Babylon. The grape cluster is often misinterpreted to be representative of the agricultural heritage of the town. This is not the case, as, at best, the soil of Islip was not the richest. George Washington noted in his diary during his trip through Islip Town that our soil was of inferior quality. What the bunch of grapes actually represent is the fact that the landowners and people of what is now Islip Town hung together against pressure from other towns, the county, the state, and the crown to make the town of Islip a reality. A wisecrack made by Islip Town Supervisor Treadwell Scudder, supervisor from 1795 to 1796, and again in 1804 to 1815, that Islip was an eye slip on the part of Brookhaven and Huntington, was the inspiration of Mr. Thompson for the design. Here the comment of a town official and a descendant of one of the original families poked fun at the surrounding town's colonial era. While Islip Town traces its origin to the purchase of what would be the first nickel patent in 1683, it is not really the date of the founding of a government for the town. When Suffolk County was established in April of 1683, the land that is now Islip Town had not even been purchased. So the 1683 date on the seal commemorates the purchase of the first land by William Nickel on November 29, 1683. It was not until 1720 that what was then Islip Precinct formed a government, and it was not until 1788 that New York State declared Islip a town of New York. For more information on this, watch the first video in this series. This is the Nickel family arms. The motto for the family is in Latin, and it is the only portion of the Nickel arms carried to the seal of the town of Islip. The family motto is Fide sed qui vide. That family motto is found on the bottom of the town seal. The English translation of the motto is trust but look out in whom, or better translated, have confidence but be careful in whom you confide. As Mr. Thompson wrote, this motto should ever guide in the choice of town officers, and perhaps we can also say it is a fitting description of the history of our town. To find out more information, here are some of the sources that we used for this program.